It's in order to me. So why would you now come and say no, because I don't know whether because of politics or whatever, you say you don't want that. But the likes of the appointment of 30 permanent secretaries, appointment of 12,000 workers, I want to say categorically that those ones were done in bad faith. If you are still the governor, if you had won your second term, I'm sure that there is no how you appoint 30 permanent secretary. So you appointed them a week to you leaving the.
The fact that also have just 14 ministries.
And you are struggling to pay salaries. I mean, how can you appoint 30 permanent secretaries and 12,000 workers? I mean, it's just like digging a hole for the next governor that is coming in. So
I look at the issue of chieftaincy matters in Osun State, because looking at the issue of Osun State, many governors in the past, his predecessors, some of them have issue with chieftaincy matter, and many of them were voted are based on tampering with the issue of traditional rulers in Osun State. Don't you see this issue as just coming in as will be maybe one of the issues that Governor Adeleke will be battling with his administration?
Okay, well, let me start by saying this. When you talk about executive order, it's a declaration by a governor or a president, and such declarations would not in any way require an action by the legislative arm. But there are always limitations. So I don't expect that people will make a capital out of the issue, because yes, a governor or a president can make, come up or issue an executive order, but there are limitations. We have an example recently, the Executive Order 10 by President Muhammadu Buhari, and we had the Supreme Court overruling him in February this year. So that's just one thing that I wanted to that an important clarification that there is no need for anyone to entertain any fear if you don't have skeleton in your in the cupboard. Another point is this: there is no way we will talk about what former Governor Ogbeyega Oyetola did between July 17th and November 26th, 2002, without considering factors that stood as a precursor to those things, or what Governor Ademola Adeleke has done between Sunday and today. I want to say this, and I'm saying it with all sense of sincerity, without being biased. The attitude and disposition of former Governor Ogbeyega Oyetola to the idea of having a governor-elect that will be taken over from him didn't help matters. Quite very unusual. We had a sitting governor who refused to congratulate the governor-elect, which is okay, because there's no crime. It's not an offense that you refuse to, congratulate somebody who has been declared as winner. But the point is this: the governor-elect set up a transition committee. Ordinarily, the way it is done, the sitting governor or the sitting president will also set up his own committee, his or her own committee.
And they work together.
And they will interface, work together. And as a matter of fact, they will work together. In some instances, it is the sitting governor that will even make funds available for the inauguration ceremony. But in this situation, we had a governor who refused to set up a transition committee. Apart from that, there was no government official that interfaced with members of the transition committee set up by the governor-elect. And it was coming up with appointments, coming up with so many things that people, naturally, you feel incensed. You understand that, okay, somebody is still in power, and you are the one that will take over from that person, and the person is not cooperating in any way. The person is not even showing readiness. That was why it was easy to carry rumors, to spread rumors, to promote rumors, insinuations that he was not willing to leave. You understand? So what we have to consider is the fact that the former governor made the incoming governor to have a predetermined resolve to, once I take over, I will have to undo all that you have done. Then coming back to the issue of chieftaincy matters, former governor B.C. Akade, on 24th May 2003, which was 4 days before he will be leaving the government house, he appointed the Odogo of Ila, his hometown. But when Governor Doye, when Prince Doye Inola took over, it was even almost 6 months before presenting staff of office to him. Why? Because there was a platform for a rapport between the governor-elect and the sitting governor. When Fayose lost election, when Fayemi lost election in 2014, Fayose set up a Tasha committee. Fayemi set up his own. When Fayemi won again in 2018, Fayemi presented him a car, made the car available for him to use his movement. But we now have a committee that did not, the government did not even create a platform to interface with. The government did not provide a kobo for them to function. So it requires someone who has a mature mind to get into power and not misbehave. No, let me say misbehave. If the person we want to, that agitation, that determination to say, oh, whatever you have done, I will do, or all you have done, just to prove a point. So it's not, we cannot blame former Senator Ademola Adeleke, who is the governor now, because whatever he has done was because there is no reaction without an action. And coming to all that they are done, if you don't have skeleton in the cupboard, why being afraid? You don't need to get afraid, because you don't need to get agitated. You don't need to get worried. If you have no skeleton in the cupboard, what he has done is to say, okay, the APC issued a statement yesterday saying the governor, the former governor, appointed about 20 traditional rulers. That why singling out just 3 people? Yes, that is politics. Because if you consider the 3 people that are affected, we're talking of Are of Ide, and that is where the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs is from, Prince Adebayo Adeleke, who was seen as one of the powerful and the influential members of the cabinet. And you have the Owa of Ibadan, who was until his appointment the APC chairman of the state. And you have the Akinu of Ikinu. You understand? So you cannot really blame former Senator Ademola Adeleke, because many will have expected that, oh, you get into office, settle down, after taking office, settle down maybe for 2 or 3 weeks to review, then, before coming up with, steps that will be taken. But because there was a predetermined decision that, look, once I get there, these are things I will do. Because there was the governor, the former governor, made it something that had to be prioritized by the new governor. Because there was no relationship, no interaction, in fact, they were not given any recognition. And 3 days to the swearing inauguration day, some people still sought an injunction to restrain
to stop the inauguration.
To stop the inauguration. So you will not see someone who had seen efforts made to stop him from becoming the governor, from taking over, from taking office. After taking office, what he will do is to undo what. But what I will say is this. I've said I made one point the other time that if you don't have skeleton in the cupboard, you don't need to get worried. That's number 1. Number 2, there are limitations to executive orders. You can approach the court. If you feel that, this thing is wrong, you can, seek, you can approach the court, take a legal action. Then the 3rd one is to appeal to the governor to show political maturity. It's important, because whatever you do to heighten tensions, definitely once you get the situation inflamed, it may lead to some other things that are not really, or maybe untoward, things that are untoward that may not really produce good things for the state.
But let's look at the reaction of the State Assembly. They said they did not agree with the governor in changing the name of Osun to from the State of Action to the State of Living Spring. Then let's look at the structure of the State Assembly now. Presently, APC have the majority, and the governor is PDP. So let's look at the reaction of the State Assembly and what Osun people should expect. The relationship between the executive and the legislature.
What is happening in Osun now is democracy in action. You find out that power is something that is transient. And this is now coming visibly to Nigerians, that there is no permanency in power. It is a transient thing. The State Assembly is true, majority are APC, but you find out that the interest of Osun residents are paramount than the interest of political partisanship. And it has happened in the history of Osun when Rauf Aregbesola became governor
2010.
in 2010. It was the PDP that were controlling the house. They considered the interest of Osun as being paramount than partisanship. So we cannot expect a different thing this time around. Then on the issue of say that the House of Assembly has disagreed with the executive order, it has been pointed out by at least a member of the House, Adewumi from Obokun constituency, Irekandu, that there was no single sitting by the House where such has been discussed. So which puts the question mark on the disagreement. And on the issue of this change of name from the state of Osun to Osun State, is something that has already been before the court before. At least an Ilesha High Court has ruled that state of Osun is an illegal thing. So the fact in it is just upholding the judgment of the court, nothing so special there. So naturally, one will expect much more to come, because with new government, new things are expected.
Mr. Alege, let's look at, I know you are versatile in Osun State issue.
Yes.
Let's look at what are the things we expect the governor to do, considering what has happened in the past. What are the likely changes we should expect? Because Osun State people, there are a lot of agitation in their mind. Yesterday, the governor had to beg the workers that they have to wait a bit for them to pay November salary because all the account of the state have been frozen. So what should people expect? What are the changes that we expect?
Yes, of course, there are high expectations from the current governor. Prior to the election, when I was in Osun State, I interacted with some civil servants. Of course, they actually want a change. They wanted a change, of government. Majority of the civil servants, I'm not sure they were too cool with the former governor. And maybe some of them, a lot of factors actually worked for the current governor, for him to become the governor of Osun State. Expectations are high. One thing that it's common to virtually all the states of the federation, sometimes when payment of salary becomes an issue, then I think there's a problem. Payment of salary should not be an achievement of any government, because it's your responsibility to do.
Definitely. Now
the account is frozen, and you realize that payment of salary has always been an issue in Osun State, even during the Aregbesola era, payment of half salary and stuff like that. If a state like that has that problem and somebody's employing 12,000 workers, additional 12,000 workers, and 30 permanent secretaries, quite ridiculous. So payment of salary should be paramount to this government, though that should not be an achievement in my own opinion. But then you just have to do it, because there are a lot of civil servants in Osun State. If anything happens to the civil service, it affects the economy of the state. So that's payment of salary has to be continuous. Then again, people expect development. Normally, infrastructural development across board. It should not be concentrated in the state capital alone. Of course, there are so many. Osun has 31 plus one local government. The other one is the area office in Modakeke Ife. So, development across board. And talking about the chieftaincy issue, I think it has to be handled with care. You know, it's always been an issue in Osun State, and let me say maybe generally in southwest part of the country. I remember when I was in Osun State, in Otanyi Gbaju, they waited for 22 years before they could have a traditional ruler. In Ikire, they waited for like 9 years before they could have a traditional ruler. So that's been the trajectory.
You were 11 years.
You were 11 years. So it's always been like that. So issues like that has to be handled gently. And the way Igbajo too, I'm not sure is a recent thing.
More than 2 years. Over 2 years.
The same thing Ikirun too. And the same thing in Ire. So these are issues that have to be, you have to, as the governor, just like my colleague said, everything stops at your desk. You're the chief security officer. If you do anything that will create tension in the state, it will bounce back on you. So whatever the governor needs to do to ensure that peace is sustained in Osun State, that has to be done. In Ikirun, just before his inauguration, they burned the palace of the Akirun of Ikirun. And all these things will continue to heighten tension. And I'm sure that, burning the palace of the Akirun, some people protesting about they wanted to remove the...
and not allow the king to even enter the palace.
And they wanted to remove the Ataujo of Oshobo. All these, to me, they are politically minded. Because of politics, that's why most people were doing this. So the governor has to ensure that peace is sustained in his domain. You are the chief security officer, and development has to go around, irrespective of whether a particular set of people supported your election or not. You are the governor of everybody. Politics is over now. Concentrate on governance to ensure that there's peace and there's development in Osun State.
Now let's look at your expectation as we are rounding up gradually. Your expectation, what you should focus on, because at least for the past 6 years now, in the civil service, most people have not been promoted. Even those that have been promoted, they have issues of cash back in their promotion. So what advice will you have for the governor in repositioning the civil service in Osun State?
Look, apart from the issue of repositioning the civil service, he has to work so much on agriculture and industrialization. Because it is when agriculture and other byproducts of agriculture are actually fully developed that they can engage more hands. There are so many people in Osun who are gifted in terms of agrarian and allied industries.
Even tourism.
Yes. So it is all this that the government should employ, to actually work on in order to be able to generate enough revenue to run its administration.
Mr. Akelolu, let's look at what's your expectation for the governor. What area you think you should focus on?
The first thing is to ensure, just like my brother said earlier, to ensure stability, to ensure that nothing is done to create safety fears, to inflame situation and heighten tensions, because everywhere it is known that there can never be a chorus of support for a candidate seeking to get enthroned. There will always be, the divergent. Some will want someone to get enthroned, others will say no. So it should be careful and it should tread cautiously in respect of chieftaincy matters, because it's something, when you talk about religion, when you talk about chieftaincy matters, land matters, the tribal matters, these are things that can cause crisis. So he should be careful in the way he handles those issues. Then he should also, ordinarily it is normal for a new administration, a new governor to want to say, yes, I'm here now. So he should take it easy. If it's possible, he should just travel out, spend like 2-3 days abroad alone, and okay, yes, I'm now the governor. What will I do differently? Yes, he has his 5-point agenda, but having an agenda or having a plan to do something is different from getting it implemented. So that is why he needs to, have private moments and in retrospect, consider all he had gone through before getting his dreams of becoming the governor achieved.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Your name?
This is Mal. I'm calling from Okefoma.
Let's have your contribution.
So kudos to all our guests in the studio. In fact, I really enjoyed them. And my take this morning regarding the case of Osmo, they call it, is democracy in action. But at the same time, my observation is that all our traditional rulers, they don't need to be involved in partisan politics. They're supposed to be neutral. So once they were remarking this money back politician, this will be the outcome. Look at what is happening right now. That is my take. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
Just random in 30 seconds, sir.
Okay, so he should have private moments, then, in retrospect, consider all he had gone through before getting his dream of becoming the governor achieved, then think of what he will do differently. Yeah, he may be religious about the implementation of his 5-point agenda. Yes, good. But it's coming up with a plan is different from getting it implemented. So that is what I believe he should do. He needs to be alone for maybe 2 or 3 days. He has gone through a lot, and people will be coming up with different ideas. The Ajib, any government in power people, the power mongers, they will be around him. They will surround him. But he should know. He should see. He should, realize that majority of the people who were with
The past governor.
the past governors, where are they today?
As some of them will be coming around to join this cabinet too. Business as usual. Thank you very much, sir, for your contribution to be the source of our package on today's edition of Ethos Hangout on Diamond 88.7 FM. We thank you sincerely for listening to us, and we join us again next week for another edition of the program. Abiodun Hakim is my name. Bye for now.